Today, we are discussing the third characteristic that successful, sustainable academic writers have, and that is that they write first. Now, I'm going to talk about all of the reasons that I am given why this is not true. So let's start with the sort of counter arguments that I get from people all the time. So when I ask academics to make sure they do their writing first thing, I get a number of different responses that range from the sublime to the ridiculous. Okay, so let's begin with the kind of responses I get. First, somebody will say to me, well, I can't write first thing because I have children and getting kids out the door. Okay, so I'm not saying roll out of bed and start writing. Some people's lives do not support that model. Some people's psychology, mine, do not support that model of writing. So writing first does not mean forget you have children and roll out of bed and start writing. That's not what that means. Writing first means write as the first thing that you do in your job. So let's imagine you have small children, you need to get out of the house and take to school. You're obviously not doing any other work tasks in that time either. So what I'm asking you to do is when you begin your working day, whenever that is, write first. Similarly, I get people saying to me, well, no, I'm a night owl, or no, I have ADHD and therefore I don't really get going till much later in the day, and so on and so forth. Okay, write first. Whenever you begin your working day, write first. So what I'm trying to get you to challenge here, and what I'm interrogating with my clients, is this idea that they're prepared to start work, but they're not prepared to start work by writing. So there is a difference between I haven't started work yet, and that's why I'm not writing, to, well, no, I've started work and I'm prepared to do A, B, C, D, E, but I just won't write because, I can't. That is nonsense. That is a story you've told yourself. That is a narrative that you have deeply ingrained in your psyche, and that is comforting, and it stops you having to do the difficult work first. There's a very famous productivity book called something like Eat the Frog First, or something like that. Do the difficult thing first. That's not what this advice is about, particularly because if you're doing your writing in the way that I want you to be doing it, writing will not be difficult. So I don't want to make this into an idea that we're doing the difficult thing first, like eat the frog. It's that no, because writing isn't difficult. We're doing it first because writing requires capacity. Writing requires bandwidth. It requires focus. And if you have opened your email, you've basically opened up the floodgates to everything in this world that is going to distract you, play on your mind, annoy you, irritate you, make you mad. And that is not the right environment to do your writing. But you've made the choice to let that in when you've opened your email, for example. So people are like, yeah, but, I'm working, i.e. I'm doing things like answering emails, but I'm not up to writing. I don't accept that. If you're working, you're ready to work, and you can do any one of your work-related tasks. It could be writing, it could be grading, I'm not in the mood. It's not a real thing. It's not a real thing. We're not living our life based on the emotions we feel in any given moment, right? We've a bunch of stuff to do, and we're going to do it. And it's not about what we feel like. Like when you hear yourself saying, I don't feel like it, I want you to hear, I'm waiting for inspiration, because that's essentially what you're saying. And we're not doing that, not in my writing school anyway. So writing first is critical. So I don't accept I can't write first. The only time I'll accept that you cannot write first is when you have a class. When you have a class and you have no control over the timetable and you've been scheduled at 9 a.m. in a lecture theatre, I am not saying to you, get up at 5, get up at 3, as some academics do. I'm not saying do any of that. That's ridiculous. No one wants to live like that. It's not healthy. It's not normal. No one wants to live like that. What I'm saying is, as soon as your class is finished, because you had no control over that obligation, you begin writing. Now, do you go straight from a classroom teaching to writing? I suggest that you take 15, 20 minutes to regather yourself, recover from the performance art that is lecturing these days, and rechannel your energies a little bit before you actually open the document to begin writing. There is definitely, you need to switch your mindset and have a little bit of a mental break. But in that period of time, it is crucial that you do not open your email, because then the river of crap is flowing into you. So you can't do that. So the only time I accept the explanation that you cannot write first is if you are teaching a class that is scheduled, that you have no obligation, that you've no control over. If you tell me you have a meeting first, I am seriously questioning why you are scheduling meetings in your peak productivity hours. Meetings, there should never be a meeting in the morning, ever. Why are you having meetings then? Do not choose to put those things in your calendar first. Writing is first. Protect that time. Protect it at all costs. This is what successful, sustainable academic writers do. They block out this time in the morning and they do their writing every single day. That's it. And it's non-negotiable. And it doesn't move. And if somebody wants a meeting, they're not available then for a meeting. And it's just that simple. So if you are at work, if you are working, if you are clocking in, I want writing to be the thing that you tackle first. And I want you to understand when you are choosing not to do that. And there might be 20 different versions of the examples I've just given you. Oh, the children. Oh, my brain's not at its best then. Oh, this, oh, that, oh, the other. Oh, I have a meeting. Oh, these are just the stories that you have told yourself. And the reason you're telling yourself those stories is because you view writing. And when I say writing here, I mean reading, research, note-taking, and writing and editing. All the things that go into making up your piece of work, you find that more difficult than the other parts of your job. And that is why you procrastinate. And that is why you put it off. And that is why you don't do your writing first. It's that simple. I do, of course, have clients come to me all the time. They'll tell me they're a night owl. Oh, my best writing is between, 10 p.m. and 12 p.m. at night. I just don't accept it. Controversial, but I think that is when your procrastinatory energy runs out and you finally feel guilty enough that you spur yourself into action before sleep, before the days finally pass, so that you've actually achieved something. It's not that these are your best hours. It's that these are the hours you have become used to working in because you procrastinate all day, because you've placed writing in the box of too difficult to tackle. Not because these are your best hours. This is just some comfort blanket we wrap ourselves in. So you don't organize your classroom activity. You don't say to the university, oh my God, my best hours are between 10 and 12 p.m. And that's when I'm going to teach my course on Jane Austen. You don't say that, do you? Because it's not true. And you don't also dictate when you're going to deliver classes according to when you emotionally feel like doing it. You turn up to do your classes when they're scheduled. When somebody else has decided that's the time you're going to do it. It's not based on your feelings. It's not based on comfort. It's not based on inspiration. It's based on a time in the calendar, which is completely arbitrary. And that's how I want your writing to be scheduled. Based on a decision you've made to put the writing in first, scheduled it in your calendar, and you just turn up to do it like you just turn up to do your teaching. When you are there, you are starting to behave like a professional writer. When you are turning up and you are writing first and you don't allow the noise to creep in, that is when you know you've cracked the writing habit. And if you're not there, this is the thing I want you to practice. This is the thing I really want you to give yourself a couple of weeks where you make the promise to yourself that that's what you're going to do. You're going to go into your calendar, and if classes allow, you're going to block out 9 till 11 every morning of your working week, and you're going to turn up to write. Now, where this gets tricky is that's not the end of the magic. Of course, you need to know what you're doing in that writing session. You need to have a plan. You need to have a task list. You need to have broken down your material into executable chunks. You at least need to have given yourself a word count target. You need some measurable outcome that reinforces the fact that when you say you're going to turn up and write, you actually do it. Or turn up and read, or turn up and take notes first thing in the morning. You actually do it, and that you have an achievable outcome at the end. Because every time you make that promise to yourself, you do it, it's successful. It makes it easier to keep the promise the next day, the next day, the next day, until you have built that muscle, until you have built the habit. So this really is about not only doing your writing first, but practicing keeping your word to yourself. And this is a very simple rule that you can institute. I write first. The first work task I perform every morning is related to moving my article forward, whether it's reading, note-taking, writing, editing. So that's what I want you to practice in the next 2 weeks. And let me know, contact me, let me know how it has gone for you. If you've never done this before, this will feel like dragging a sack of rocks up a hill. But once you become consistent, it will entirely change your writing life. So please let me know how you get on with this. I absolutely want to hear how everybody's nascent writing practice is going.